Back then, your hotel bed could actually vibrate with just a coin, and your room key could find its way home via mail without needing a stamp. Certainly, for today's generation, those things might sound weird, but they were the golden standard of convenience back then. Today, we will journey back to those old traveling days to explore 25 weird hotel features that you won't believe existed and find out why they disappeared from modern life. Googie architecture. In the 1950s and 1960s, long-distance driving became a symbol of post-war freedom, and the roads in the U.S. saw the emergence of a bizarre new architectural style called the Googie style. These were not just regular signs, they were massive, colorful sculptures, brilliantly lit by neon lights. Googie architectural signs often featured futuristic shapes, bold angles, winding curves, dazzling starbursts, or boomerang and spaceship structures. They looked as if they were designed for a science fiction movie, reflecting the absolute optimism of the space age at the time. The purpose of these strange signs was to catch the eye of drivers or tourists traveling at high speeds on the highway. They had to be truly crazy and prominent to advertise the luxuries of the time, such as color TV or heated pool. For travelers, they were not just directional signs, but also visual symbols signaling a modern and fun place to stay. However, over time, the aesthetic style changed. Major hotel chains began to favor more standardized and minimalist designs. More importantly, the cost of maintaining the neon lighting system and these complex metal structures was too expensive, causing these strange symbols to gradually disappear, remaining only in the memories of those who lived through its golden age. Vibrating beds and magic fingers. Vibrating beds are probably the strangest feature on this list. Something the younger generation would find hard to imagine existed. Next to the familiar bed in motels from the 1960s to the 1980s, you would find a small box, often beige, with a coin slot. This device was called magic fingers. Just insert a coin, usually 25 cents, into the slot, and the entire bed would start to shake intensely for about 15 minutes, creating a loud humming sound and a floating sensation beneath your back. Initially, it was advertised to help travelers relax their muscles after a long day of driving on the interstate highway, a cheap massage treatment right in the bedroom. Nevertheless, for many, this experience leaned towards the bizarre and humorous, more like a novelty entertainment than a real therapeutic relaxation. Many young travelers often turned it on just for laughs or to challenge who could sleep while the bed was vibrating. The popularity of magic fingers was also due to the fact that it provided a steady and easy source of extra income for motels without requiring much labor investment. However, over time, issues with maintaining the mechanical system beneath the mattress, the change in customer preferences toward seeking quieter relaxation, and general concerns about hygiene caused this unique and strange feature to gradually disappear in the 1990s, giving way to silent and softer beds. Analog TVS. Stepping into a hotel room in the 1960s or 1970s, you would encounter a bulky box sitting on the desk or cabinet. That was the analog TV, a luxury item at the time. This TV came with a strange control ritual that Generation Z rarely hears about, adjusting the rabbit ear antenna. Imagine trying to watch the news or your favorite show, but the screen was grainy, blurry, and the image constantly danced as if a snowstorm was happening inside the box. The cause was often a weak signal or a misaligned antenna. To solve this problem, you had to adjust that flimsy metal antenna, rotate it, extend it, or even wrap aluminum foil around it, trying to find the exact spot that would make the image clear and stable. This sometimes required strange and humorous cooperation between two people, one person holding the antenna in the perfect position on top of the TV, and the other glued to the screen, shouting, "That's it! Hold it right there!" This TV also had two large knobs, one for switching between the few VHF, very high frequency channels, and one for UHF, ultra high frequency. There were few channels, usually only about 3 to 5 options to choose from. Having a TV in the room was considered a special experience, a novel entertainment option for guests. However, the advent of cable television, followed by flat-screen TVs and digital technology, ended the reign of these bulky analog TVs, turning the antenna adjustment ritual into a joyful, nostalgic memory. Metal room keys. Before key cards became popular, opening a hotel room was a much more physical experience. Guests received heavy metal room keys, often attached to a large, bulky plastic or wooden tag to prevent them from being accidentally left behind. The truly strange and smart detail was the phrase stamped on the tag, "Guaranteed postage paid." It sounds absurd, but this system worked extremely effectively. If a guest accidentally took the key home, they simply had to drop it into any mailbox. The post office would automatically send it back to the hotel without the sender having to pay a single cent for a stamp. This was an extremely clever and economical solution. The postage cost was much cheaper than the hotel having to replace both the lock and a new key. This strange thoughtfulness reflected an era where hotel services paid great attention to detail, but ultimately, the introduction of electronic key cards in the 1970s to 1980s provided superior convenience, safety, and security, making the mechanical key system obsolete. Guest books. In the past, when you stepped into a hotel lobby, you would immediately see a large, hardbound book placed openly on the reception counter. That was the guest books, a common item in the past. Every guest checking in had to stop, use a pen to sign their name, record their home address, and sometimes even their vehicle number. Today, this sounds extremely weird and alarming because it created a huge privacy loophole. Anyone passing by, from a curious guest to a stranger, could glance over and know the names, signatures, and information of those currently staying, including their room numbers. In an era where personal data security is paramount, this is unacceptable. However, in the past, this was how hotels stored customer information. Only when growing concerns about privacy and security, along with the development of computer systems, led to the complete replacement of handwritten registers with digital check-in processes, did the book become a relic of a lack of privacy. Gideon Bibles. In the bedside table drawer of most hotel and motel rooms in America, you would always find a Gideon Bible. Placing this book there became a familiar custom in the hotel experience for decades. This is the work of the Gideons International, an organization that has distributed free Bibles since 1899. This is the work of the Gideons International, an organization that has distributed free Bibles in public places, schools, and hotels for a long time, starting in 1899. The purpose was to bring comfort and spiritual guidance to travelers far from home, providing a resource for reading and reflection during lonely nights. It represented an era when religious culture had a significant influence on public life. Today, although the Gideon Bible still exists in certain hotel chains, this custom has gradually been eliminated. Changes in social views on religion, the global diversity of customer beliefs, and even concerns about theft or loss have led many modern hotels to decide against providing this item, aiming to maintain neutrality with all guests. Have you ever seen this weird feature in a hotel? If yes, comment yes, and if you only heard about it, comment no, to see if anyone is like you. Decorative bedding. If you think hotel bed linens have always been pristine white, you missed an era of incredibly strange and colorful hotel interior design. Instead of modern simplicity and elegance, old hotel rooms stood out with brightly patterned comforters, bold patterns, and dramatic colors, often orange, green, or earthy brown. These comforters were not just simply spread over the bed. They were often folded very tightly and stiffly around the pillows, creating a neat, square appearance that was almost unnatural and made lying down seem like destroying a work of art. This style reflected the interior design trends of the time, conveying a sense of fun, luxury, and asserting consistency. The bold colors and complex patterns also served a practical purpose, hiding small stains more effectively than white sheets. However, aesthetic trends have completely changed. Today, White is favored because it conveys a feeling of absolute cleanliness, hygiene, and minimalist luxury. Washing and maintaining white linens is also easier and more efficient. Therefore, those brightly patterned comforters and that strange folding method have become a past aesthetic memory. Barbershops and shoe shine. The lobby of a large hotel in the 1950s was not just a place to check in. It was a comprehensive service center where sometimes there was even a small barbershop or a professional shoe shine stand. Imagine getting out of your car and before you even went up to your room, you could stop by for a haircut, a shave, or ask for your leather shoes to be polished. These mini barbershops often had classic spaces with luxurious leather chairs, providing a sense of personalization and absolute convenience for travelers. In particular, the shoe shine service was an extremely necessary amenity. At that time, shiny, polished leather shoes were a symbol of respect, professionalism, and status. Hotels serving business people and the upper class considered these services standard. However, as lifestyles gradually changed, with fewer people wearing leather shoes, increasing demand for spas and gyms, and the desire to optimize space, these luxurious but strange amenities were gradually replaced by more modern services. Complimentary overnight shoe shine service. Accompanying the lobby shoe shine stand was an even more magical service, complimentary overnight shoe shine service. You would be pleasantly surprised when you checked in, and the hotel staff would show you a special cloth bag hanging in the closet. In the evening, you just needed to place your leather shoes outside your room door inside that special cloth bag provided by the hotel. During the night, the shoes would be quietly collected by a hotel employee, cleaned, and carefully polished. The next morning, they would reappear, shining like new, placed neatly outside your door. This magic service, requiring no interaction from you, reflected an era of meticulous care, respect, and professionalism, down to the smallest detail. Afterward, hotels began cutting service costs, and the focus on modern technological conveniences was also a reason why this wonderful but strange amenity became rare. Smoking rooms. For many older people, the image of designated smoking hotel rooms is a vivid memory of a bygone era. Back then, smoking was not banned or restricted, but was widely accepted in public spaces. Therefore, these rooms were very common. Inside, you would always find heavy glass ashtrays and complimentary matchbooks printed with the hotel logo. The strangest and most unforgettable feature of these rooms was the smell. The smell of smoke permeated the carpets, curtains, and furniture, creating a characteristic atmosphere that would be considered unpleasant and unsanitary today. Hotels provided these rooms to meet the demand of a large customer base. However, increased health awareness, along with public smoking bans and the desire to protect staff health, led most hotels to switch entirely to smoke-free models. Although some hotels still allow smoking on balconies, the fully smoke-filled rooms of the past have become a strange historical artifact. Plastic ice buckets and hallway ice machines. In the long road trips of the past, the process of chilling drinks was strange, noisy, and required effort. In the hotel room, you usually only had a beige or brown plastic bucket. To get ice, you had to take a journey down the hallway. You would have to search for a noisy ice machine, often located in a hidden corner. Holding the plastic bucket, you would press the button and listen to the sound of ice falling clatteringly into the bucket, creating a small sense of victory when bringing the spoils back to the room. That was a unique experience and an indispensable part of staying at a motel. Today, many modern hotels have eliminated communal ice machines due to hygiene issues, noise, and the desire for convenience. Instead, some places equip rooms with mini fridges that have separate freezer compartments or simply serve ice upon request. Love this video? Show some love with a like and a subscribe. Hate it? A like would still be awesome, and your feedback in the comments will help me improve. Lobby payphones. Before mobile phones became indispensable and the internet became widespread, the hotel lobby used to be a communication center with lobby payphones. Shiny payphones were often placed in glass phone booths or on a long table. This was where guests had to queue, insert coins, and dial to call home or make long-distance calls. This scene today sounds extremely weird and inconvenient, but it was once an essential service and a significant source of income from long-distance calls. These phones were not just communication tools. They were also an involuntary social crossroads. When queuing for a call or standing nearby, you might accidentally overhear snippets of other people's conversations, from notifying safe arrival to urgent business calls. Constantly inserting coins to keep a long-distance call going was an exciting pressure and sometimes caused frustration when the call was cut off. The development of mobile phones and high-speed internet quickly led to the disappearance of these public telephone booths, leaving them only in nostalgic antique museums. The complimentary sewing kit is a small detail, but shows the extremely great thoughtfulness of old hotels, a thoughtfulness almost non-existent in today's fast fashion world. In the desk drawer, you could find a lovely little package, often wrapped in foil or a mini plastic box. Inside was a simple but complete emergency sewing kit. This kit usually contained a few threads in basic colors, a needle, a few spare buttons, and a small safety pin. It was a savior for emergencies, like a shirt button popping off right before an important meeting or a small tear in travel clothing. This amenity reflected an era when mending clothes was normal, and people still valued preparedness. The rise of convenient consumer culture and the mindset of buy new instead of repair reduced the demand for this sewing kit, making it obsolete and almost entirely disappearing. The wall-mounted hairdryer was once considered one of the most advanced amenities, widely installed from the 1970s to the 1990s. For today's guests, these machines look truly strange, resembling a combination of a vacuum cleaner hose and a toaster. The wall-mounted hairdryer was a plastic device securely fixed to the bathroom wall. They had a coiled cord that could be stretched out and often emitted extremely loud noises. However, their power was disappointingly weak, sometimes taking longer to dry hair than using a towel. The initial goal was so guests wouldn't have to carry bulky hairdryers when traveling. However, technological development created compact, high-performance, and much safer handheld hairdryers, making these noisy and weak wall-mounted models an obsolete relic. The in-bathroom telephone is perhaps one of the most luxurious and strange features that ever appeared in upscale hotels and motels, showing an unbelievable level of redundancy and convenience. Imagine being in the bathroom and realizing there is a telephone installed right on the wall, often next to the toilet or bathtub. To modern people, this idea sounds confusing and unsanitary. But in the 1960s and 1970s, it was a symbol of maximum convenience. Its initial purpose was believed to be for safety reasons. If a guest slipped in the tub or had another medical emergency, they could call for help immediately without having to run out of the room. Nevertheless, they also served those who didn't want to miss any call, even while bathing. However, the popularity of mobile phones quickly made this strange item completely redundant, and it disappeared, ending unwanted conversations in the bathroom. If you think today's hotels only provide pet-friendly services, you will be surprised by a somewhat eccentric service that once existed in some high-end hotel chains, offering live fish swimming in hotel room. This is one of the most unique and strange customer care initiatives in history. When guests checked in, especially those traveling alone for long business trips, they could request a room where they could watch fish swimming right inside. This initiative aimed to help solo travelers feel less lonely and create a warmer living space, a strange alternative to keeping a real pet. Although this idea was humanitarian and unique, maintaining the aquarium, ensuring hygiene, and caring for the fish, including feeding and health checks, became much more complicated and costly than the benefits it provided. Therefore, this service quietly swam away from the hotels. On a scale of 0 to 5, how strange do you find this service? Comment with a number to share your thoughts. Before the era of email, social media, and instant messaging, One of the most sophisticated and practical amenities a hotel could offer was a complete stationery set. On the desk in the room, you would find a set including letterhead, envelopes sharply printed with the hotel logo, and a ballpoint pen or a carefully sharpened pencil. In today's digital world, the idea of sitting down to write a handwritten letter on hotel stationery seems like a nostalgic and strange act. But for 20th century travelers, this was an important way to communicate. They could write letters home to family, send postcards to friends, or record business notes. Furthermore, these logo-printed stationery sets were also an effective form of advertising for the hotel when they were sent all over the world. The rise of technology completely replaced the need for handwritten letters, causing the stationery set to gradually shrink, sometimes becoming just a small notepad or completely disappearing. Now, only very luxurious hotels maintain this tradition. If you grew up as a child in the 1960s to 1980s, memories of family vacations often revolved around something that is almost impossible to find today: diving boards at hotel pools. These resilient diving boards, usually located at the deep end of the pool, were the center of all fun, adventure, and challenge. The diving board turned the pool from a place to swim into a challenging and adventurous playground. Children, and adults too, could line up to perform loud cannonball jumps or try to execute clumsy flips, creating the most spectacular splashes. It was an indispensable part of family summer vacations, creating vivid memories of freedom and unlimited joy. However, over time, concerns about safety, the risk of neck injuries, and soaring insurance costs became major threats to hotels. Stricter safety regulations were introduced to protect customers. Therefore, most hotels had to remove diving boards. Before Netflix, Hulu, and streaming services dominated the world, you would have to use a strange and expensive form of entertainment, pay-per-view TV, if you wanted to watch a new movie right in your hotel room. There would usually be a strange box attached to the TV, or you would have to call the front desk to ask them to activate the content. Guests would have to pay a hefty fee, higher than the price of renting a movie at a store, to watch a film for 24 hours. Even in some more budget-friendly hotels, there were coin-operated TVs, requiring you to constantly insert coins into a box next to the TV to keep the show running. This was the only way to access high-end and exclusive entertainment content, but it sometimes caused annoyance due to the excessively high cost. However, with the boom of the internet and streaming services offering unlimited content for a fixed monthly price, the pay-per-view model became completely obsolete and disappeared, giving way to smart TV applications. In the golden era of travel and luxury hotels, the lobby was not just a place for quick check-ins, but also a formal social space. The center of this sophistication was often a grand piano, carefully polished and placed in the most central position. This piano was not just for display. In the evening, there would often be a professional pianist playing live music, filling the space with classical melodies, soft jazz, or contemporary pieces, creating a cozy and luxurious atmosphere. The piano brought a classic charm that modern hotels find difficult to recreate. However, to cut down on personnel and operational costs, hiring artists, and maintaining the expensive instrument, most hotels replaced the pianist with music playlists played through speaker systems. Although cost-effective, this replacement lost the charm and unique, personalized touch of the classic experience, making the sight of a lobby pianist rare and strange to young people. In an era when smoking was widely accepted and considered normal social behavior, small matchbooks custom designed with a hotel logo and name were a small but common item. They were often placed next to ashtrays in hotel smoking rooms or on the bar and restaurant counters as an invitation to use. They were not just tools for lighting cigarettes. These matchbooks, with their unique design, attractive colors, and prominent hotel logo, became small, complimentary souvenirs, loved and sought after by travelers. Keeping a matchbook was the easiest way to remember a trip without having to spend money on expensive souvenirs. However, their disappearance was inevitable as health awareness changed. Public smoking bans, strict fire safety regulations preventing guests from bringing matches or fire back to the room, and the popularity of electronic lighters led most hotels to completely eliminate matchbooks, ending a small collecting era that many older people still feel nostalgic about. If you feel that today's hotels all look the same, minimalist and standardized, then go back to the past and look at themed hotel rooms. There was a time when hotels were not afraid to show their personality and even eccentricity, transforming the resting space into an adventure full of imagination. You could stay in a room decorated entirely in a spaceship theme with blinking lights, a tropical jungle bedroom with fake plants and nature sounds, or a room simulating an entire cave with artificial rocks and dim lighting. These rooms were not just places to sleep. They created a unique, fun, and memorable experience, making every trip a true and significant adventure. They attracted customers looking for difference and willing to pay for novelty. However, most major hotel chains switched to design standardization for economic and management reasons. This makes it easier to manage, build a unified brand, and most importantly, easier to maintain and clean. This standardization killed the uniqueness and strangeness of individual locations, replacing them with convenience and consistency. Today, when we need an alarm, we just set the clock on our smartphone with various sound options. But there was a time when waking up in a hotel was a highly personalized and extremely reliable service. That was the personal wake-up call service. Guests would call the front desk the night before and request a specific wake-up time. When the time came, an actual hotel employee would call your room and sometimes even offer greetings or wish you a good day, ensuring you were awake. This service not only ensured you wouldn't miss your flight, but also provided a sense of personal care and connection, a warm assurance delivered by a human voice. This direct interaction has been completely replaced by technology. The popularity of digital alarm clocks in the room, guests' smartphones, and programmed automatic alarm systems made the personal wake-up call service, though thoughtful but labor-intensive, unnecessary and obsolete. In the old days, whether in a budget motel or a luxury hotel, when you entered a room, you would see a heavy glass or a ceramic ashtray on the bedside table, often more than one, sometimes on the desk, next to the telephone, even in the bathroom. Smoking was not only allowed, but almost everywhere, in the room, the hallway, the lobby, and of course the bar. Ashtrays were often printed with a hotel logo, thick and sturdy to withstand impact, looking like a standard amenity of that time. Along with the ashtray was a specially designed matchbox, printed with the hotel name and phone number, a free souvenir that many travelers like to bring home. For many, it was a simple way to remember the address for next time, or simply a memory of a trip. Today, with most hotels banning smoking and prioritizing clean spaces, logoed ashtrays have disappeared from rooms, becoming a relic of another time and a collectible reminiscent of a bygone era of travel. Among the strange hotel features that you won't believe ever existed, hotel postcards are a simple and warm mark. In the old days, right in the lobby, there was often a rotating rack full of colorful postcards printed with pictures of the hotel facade, swimming pool, or surrounding attractions. Guests just had to choose, write a few lines about their journey, affix a stamp, and drop it into the mailbox next to the reception desk. Some places even prepared a small writing desk in the room, a fountain pen, and suggested sentences to make it easy for everyone to get started. Some places show off with scented postcards that can be folded into panoramic views, or printed with mascots and fun slogans. Some hotels even installed a mail slot right at the elevator door so that the postman would receive them as soon as they got down. Those cards helped travelers show off their trip, making people at home a little jealous. But more importantly, they connected emotions between strange places and home. Postcards were thus more than just pretty pictures. They were a tangible link between travelers and loved ones, and a witness to a time of bold travel ideas. Today, with phones replacing many things and postcard prices disappearing, old cards have become valuable collectibles. Finally, looking back, every feature that disappeared is not just a societal change. It also tells a story about how we used to travel. These memories are priceless and worth cherishing. What about you? Do you know of any other utility on long road trips that has disappeared that we haven't mentioned? Share your youth memories and unforgettable travel experiences in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this nostalgic journey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories about the past.